Hello, welcome. Thank you for watching. It's Q&A Tuesday. My name is Bridget Factor. I'm a certified nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'm here to answer your questions about nutrition, about health, about whatever it takes to be healthy. And I thank you for being here and thank you for watching. Just a quick disclaimer that the information presented during this video is for educational purposes only, and if you are dealing with a medical condition, you need to seek the advice of a licensed medical provider. So thank you again that you're all here. Okay, so today I want to talk about gluten or wheat. I often get asked, what's the problem with wheat, or can I eat wheat? And so I know there's a lot of controversy between what the conventional medicine community will say versus what the functional medicine community will say. So I kind of wanted to talk about that and what we actually know, and hopefully give you some clarity on whether you should try to go gluten-free or not. So the problem with gluten is the protein found in wheat. There's actually several proteins found in wheat that can be issues, not just gluten, but that seems to be the one that's identified most because of our knowledge of celiac disease, which is an allergic reaction or gut dysfunction due to gluten. So that term gluten gets pulled out a lot, but there's actually several different proteins in wheat that can cause problems. So let's talk about that. So I will admit that I have my own personal bias with this because removing wheat from my diet had a huge impact on how I felt. I had IBS-like symptoms, and they went completely away. The tummy pain went away, the brain fog went away, stuff like that. So that's why I am interested in this subject. I also work in a neurology clinic, and we advise our neurology patients to go gluten-free because there is a strong link between gluten and certain neurological conditions. And so we'll go into that a bit today. So the problem with gluten and what we know is that it has the ability to cause intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So it has the ability to cause damage to the intestines, which creates inflammation throughout the body. It also has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and cause the same damage to the blood-brain barrier as it does the intestines, and then that inflammation then can cross into the brain and activate the brain's immune system, causing problems. So normally when people think about going gluten-free, it's because they're having tummy issues or digestive issues. But what we know is that the majority of people that have sensitivities to wheat actually experience neurological issues more than they experience digestive issues. So that will be things like brain fog, headaches, and other neurological conditions as that progresses, things that affect the brain's immune system. So we know that this can happen. It doesn't happen with everybody. So let's kind of talk about how we know if it's going to affect us or not. I want to go more into understanding that the wheat we eat today, American wheat, is vastly different than the wheat we ate 100 years ago and that's different than the wheat we ate 1,000 years ago. So we used to eat traditional types of wheat, or einkorn and emmer, and the wheat we eat today is actually a hybrid of 3 different types of grasses. It has extra chromosomes and codes for different proteins that our body's never seen before. It has 40 times more the amount of gluten in it, and that's specifically because gluten has this natural ability to act as a pesticide, and it also adds to the fluffiness of your bread and your dough. So it's intentional that they've hybridized it to be that way. But the downside of that is if you're sensitive to those things, then you're getting more of those particular proteins that are causing the problems by eating, the American type of wheat. So I just want people to be aware that the bread that Jesus ate didn't cause problems because it was a completely different type of bread. Also, traditionally, when people would make wheat products, they would ferment the wheat berries first, which actually degrades some of these types of proteins that cause problems. So the processing was completely different as well. So, okay, so we know that wheat can damage the intestines. It can alter the environment of your gut, and it can also cause neurological problems. But it doesn't do that in everybody. Not everybody is sensitive. So they estimate about 30% of people are actually sensitive to wheat. So how do you know if you should eat wheat or not? So here's some questions to ask. First, do you have a healthy gut? And you can do certain functional labs to actually determine this. Second, do you have any kind of autoimmune disease or inflammatory disease? You probably should try going gluten-free or grain-free. Do you have diabetes or prediabetes? Do you have any digestive conditions like IBS, constipation, or diarrhea? Do you have any migraines, chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression, other neurological disorders? These can be indications that you need to try going gluten-free. Have you done a lab test that shows whether or not your body's actually reacting to the gluten or the wheat? There are different food sensitivity tests out there. Have you done a lab test to see if you are predisposed to developing celiac disease? You can actually get some genetic testing done to determine that. Have you tried a gluten-free diet for at least 30 days and noticed a difference or not? That's another way to tell. And then if you don't have any of those issues and you have a healthy gut and you didn't notice a difference going gluten-free, are you willing to consume only organic wheat that is prepared traditionally to help minimize some of those negative proteins or those what they call anti-nutrients in the wheat? So those are questions that you can ask yourself, whether or not you should try to eat wheat or take it away from your diet. I always tell people the gold standard is to eliminate it from your diet for 30 days and see what happens. Now, don't replace your wheat products with gluten-free products because there's still a little bit of gluten in those, and that's not really addressing the issue, but it's a place to start, is to try it and see how it works with you. That's how I found out I was sensitive to wheat, and it made a huge difference in how I felt. And so this is something that I recommend to a lot of my clients because they're coming to me with certain conditions that they're trying to resolve. And so naturally, that's one of the first steps we want to try. So that is my perspective on gluten and wheat products, and hopefully that gives you an idea of whether or not this is a good something for you to try. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching. And I hope that you are enjoying these videos. I ask that you share this group, the Restorative Wellness Community, with your friends so we can grow the group. I want to be here and answer your questions. If you're not a part of our Restorative Wellness Community, you can search for us on Facebook and ask to join. And please post questions because I want to know how I can help you. I want to know really what's going on in your head and what questions you have, because there's so much information out there and a lot of it's contradictory, and I want to help kind of give you my perspective on that. So thank you again for watching, and until next time, we'll see you next week.